The night was cold. Wind rushed through the empty streets of the old town. Most lights were off. Everyone was inside, staying warm. But one man still walked outside. His name was David Carter. He was in his 30s, tall, with rough hands and kind eyes. He worked at the town's repair shop and had just closed for the night. He always walked past the small, broken church on his way home. That night, something felt different. As he stepped onto the sidewalk near the church, he heard something. It was soft, almost like a cry. He stopped, listened. Nothing. Then he heard it again, closer, a quiet whimper, like someone was in pain. David turned his head slowly. Behind the church, in the shadows near the stone wall, something moved. He felt a chill that wasn't from the wind. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. He moved closer, his boots crunching on gravel. As he reached the back wall, he saw her. A girl. No, not a human girl. She was young, maybe 19 or 20 in human years. But her skin had a faint glow, almost silver in the moonlight. Her hair shimmered like starlight, falling over her bare shoulders. She was almost unclothed, only wrapped in torn fabric that barely covered her. Her knees were pulled to her chest. She looked up at him, eyes wide with fear. David froze. His breath caught in his throat. She wasn't from Earth. He had seen aliens on the news, in orbit stations, even on far-off trade posts. But never in person, never in his little town, never like this. He took a slow step forward, raising his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The girl didn't speak. She just shivered, watching him like a frightened animal. David looked around. No ships. No guards. No signs of a crash. He took off his thick jacket and knelt beside her. "Here," he said, gently wrapping it around her shoulders. She flinched. Her skin was freezing to the touch. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. "Are you lost?" Still no answer. But her lips parted slightly. She tried to speak, but only a broken sound came out. Her eyes filled with tears. One rolled down her cheek. David's chest tightened. Who would leave her like this? He looked at her arms, thin, bruised. Her feet were bare, covered in dirt and scratches. Something deep inside him told him this wasn't just a random girl. "Come on," he said gently. "You can't stay out here. You'll freeze." He reached out slowly, and after a long pause, she let him lift her. She was light, too light, as if she hadn't eaten in days. He carried her down the alley away from the church. The wind howled, louder now, and the streetlights flickered above them. As he turned the corner toward his apartment, something strange happened. The girl's head fell against his shoulder. Her silver hair brushed his neck, and from under her long hair, on the back of her neck, something glowed. It was a small symbol, shaped like a circle, with 3 stars inside. Ancient, elegant. David didn't see it, but someone else did. Across the street, in the shadows of a ruined building, a dark figure stood, watching. He wore armor sleek and alien, black as space. His eyes glowed blue through his helmet visor. He didn't move, just stared as David carried the girl away. He tapped something on his wrist, a soft beep. Then, in a voice like static and metal, he spoke one word. "Found." Asterisk, the night had turned silent again. Inside David's small apartment, the alien girl now lay on his couch, wrapped in 2 warm blankets. A soft heater hummed nearby. Her skin still shimmered faintly under the light, but the shivers had stopped. Her breathing was steady. David sat on the floor, staring at her with confused eyes. So many questions raced through his head. Who was she? Where did she come from? Why wasn't anyone looking for her? He didn't even know if she understood his language. Still, she looked too human to ignore it, too lost to leave behind. David stood up and moved into the kitchen. He poured a cup of warm broth and returned to the living room. As he held it out, the girl opened her eyes slowly. She didn't reach for the cup. Her eyes weren't on the food. They were locked on him, Are you hurt? He asked quietly. Her lips moved. One word came out dry, weak, but clear. Danger. David froze. Danger? She struggled to sit up, but her body was weak. Her hand reached toward the back of her neck, touching the spot where the glowing mark had been. David noticed the strange movement. What is that? That symbol, ... Is it yours? She didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward the window. Her face tightened with fear. David followed her gaze. Nothing was there. The night quiet and still. But her fear told him something else. Something unseen was coming. He moved quickly, locking the doors and checking the windows. Then he returned to the couch. I don't know who you are, he said, but someone clearly wants to hurt you. I'm not going to let that happen. Her eyes softened. For a second, something like trust flickered across her face. That's when he noticed the old leather book on his desk, the one filled with star symbols and forgotten alien languages. It was part of a hobby he picked up years ago, collected. Lost alien signs from history. David stepped toward it, flipping the pages fast. His fingers stopped on a hand-drawn sketch of a glowing mark, the same one she had on her neck. His heartbeat rose. The mark was Ancient Aurelian, royal seal last. Seen hundreds of years ago, during the fall of the Aurelian Empire, every royal with that mark had been wiped out after a brutal civil war, or so the records said. He looked back at the girl. Could it be? Was she the last one? No, that was impossible. The Aurelians were long gone, their empire shattered, their bloodline erased. But she was living proof that history had lied. David sat down slowly, still staring at her, I think you're more important than you know, he whispered. The girl blinked. Her eyes locked onto the book in his hand. She pointed to the seal on the page. Mine, she said softly. The lights flickered. Then the front door shook just once. Like something heavy had landed outside. David stood up fast, the girl's breathing quickened. She shook her head and whispered, hide. But it was too late. Something crashed into the door. A deep dent appeared in the metal. Again another blow. David grabbed a metal rod from under the couch. His hands trembled. He wasn't a fighter. He was a mechanic, a fixer of broken engine snot, a warrior. But tonight, he had to be something else. He turned toward the girl. Can you walk? He asked. She nodded faintly. He helped her stand. Her legs wobbled, but she forced herself up. The door burst open behind them with a roar of broken hinges. Smoke filled the entry. A tall figure stepped through, dressed in black armor, with glowing blue eyes, the same one who had watched them earlier. The girl gasped. Hunter. David didn't wait. He grabbed her hand and rushed out the back exit, slamming it shut behind them. They ran into the night, her bare feet hitting the cold ground. Sirens wailed in the distance, but they weren't police. They were something else. Something alien. As they ducked into a narrow alley, David glanced back. He saw the armored figure stepping into the street, calm and slow, like he knew escape wasn't possible. The girl suddenly collapsed against the wall, panting hard. I can't, she said. Her skin flickered again, then dimmed. She was. Shutting down, David held her, panicked. He looked up at the blinking lights above them and whispered, Who are you? The answer came in her fading voice, Princess. The words still echoed in David's mind like thunder in a cave. Princess. She had spoken it just before collapsing again. Her head now rested on his chest. Her silver hair tangled in his arms as he crouched behind a row of garbage bins in the alley. The night was quiet again, but it was the kind of silence that meant something worse was coming. David's breath was fast. He could still hear the faint hum of the black-armored hunter moving down the street. No sirens, no shouting, just the quiet, deliberate sound of footsteps that didn't belong on Earth. He gently shook the alien girl. Hey, he whispered. You can't pass out on me now. Her eyes fluttered open, dull and distant. Too late, they found me. No, not yet, David said, voice firm. Not while I'm here. He peeked around the corner. The armored hunter had stopped, head tilted like he could smell them. Then it spoke. Not with a voice, but through a small drone that floated above the alley. "Return the royal. You will not be harmed." David blinked. The drone had scanned them and knew. "She's one of you," David whispered under his breath, turning to her. "So why are they hunting you?" She sat up slowly, clutching her ribs. "I'm not supposed to exist. They erased my bloodline, or thought they." Did David's mind raced? "So you're really a princess?" She didn't answer. She just looked at him, eyes hollow but sad. "They killed my family for power. I was smuggled away, hidden here as a child. Earth was the only place they wouldn't search. Until now." David stood up, helping her to her feet. "Then we stay out of sight. We survive." She hesitated, then nodded. They darted through side paths, sticking to shadows. David knew every backstreet of this old town. He had fixed broken lights on these corners, repaired trash units that no one thanked him for now. That knowledge was saving their lives. They reached a rundown auto garage. David punched in an old code, one he hadn't used since he left his job here years ago. The doors creaked open, revealing rusted tools and oil-stained floors. Not much, but it was shelter. He brought her inside and laid her gently on a padded bench. She looked weaker than before. Her glowing skin had dulled to a pale blue. "I need fusion core," she whispered. "Small charge." David blinked. "A fusion core? Like from a generator?" She nodded slowly. "In my body. Half organic, half tech, royal. Blood needs energy, or we fade," he remembered. Some alien races had biotech running through their bodies. He had heard stories, but never seen it up close. "I think I have something," he said. He ran to the back of the garage, digging through drawers until he found an old mini-core used for testing engine sparks. It was weak, but it pulsed. He placed it gently in her hand, her fingers closed around it. The core flickered, then glowed brighter. And slowly, her breathing deepened. Color returned to her cheeks. She opened her eyes again. They glowed gold. David took a slow step back. "That helped?" he asked. She sat up straighter. "You saved me." Suddenly, her body said. From outside, a different voice called female, cold, commanding. "Princess Valria," it echoed. "Your death was ordered by your own people. Do not fight fate." The girl's face turned to stone. "Commander Alrix. Who is she?" David asked. "My cousin," Valria whispered. "She betrayed my parents, took the throne. Now she comes to finish what she started." Outside, the ground trembled slightly, then boomed. The garage doors exploded inward. Steel flew across the floor. A tall woman stepped through, armor glowing deep red. Taller than the last hunter, flanked by 2 war drones. Her voice sliced the air like a blade. "I gave the humans a warning," she said, eyes fixed on Valria. "They didn't listen. Now they die too." David stepped in front of the princess. "You'll have to go through me," he said. Commander Alrix stared at him. "You're human. You don't matter." David didn't move. That's when Valria stood beside him. "He does matter," she said, louder now, "more than you understand." For the first time, Alrix looked uncertain. David noticed it. He didn't know how. But something inside him had changed since the fusion core touched her skin. Something was awakening. Inside both of them, David didn't feel afraid anymore. Not. Even as the alien commander, taller than anyone he'd ever seen, stood before him, glowing armor lit with pulsing veins of red energy. Not even with 2 floating war drones humming behind her, each one armed and ready to fire. He didn't know why. But the moment he touched the fusion core to Valria's hand, something had changed in her and in him. Commander Alrix narrowed her golden eyes. "Step away from her, human," she said. "You don't understand what you're protecting." David's heart pounded, but he stood firm, arms slightly spread in front of Valria. "I understand enough," he said. "Was thrown away to die. I won't let that happen." Valria stepped beside him now, standing tall again. Her skin shimmered stronger than before, the faint silver returning, but with streaks of light flickering beneath her veins. "There is no throne if you kill me, cousin," Valria said coldly. "Only blood." Alrix lifted one hand. "Exactly." The drones powered up with a wine laser, barrels glowing blue. David reached for a rusted steel bar on the floor. Useless, but it felt better than empty hands. But then Valria's hand touched his wrist. The moment her skin met his. Flash. A deep pulse ran through him like something ancient woke up. His vision swirled. For half a second, the world slowed down. He could see the energy inside the drones. He could feel the charge inside Alrix's weapon. He could hear every heartbeat in the room, including hers. Valria pulled her hand away fast. She looked at him, stunned. "What just happened?" He gasped, breathing hard. "I don't know," she whispered, but felt it too. Alrix didn't wait. She snapped her fingers. Fire. The two drones moved in, but David moved faster. His arm shot out without thinking. The metal bar in his hand struck one drone's core dead center. A blast of sparks exploded as it dropped. The second drone fired. Valria raised her hand, a shield invisible. Glowing only where the laser touched flared up between her and David. The bolt scattered. David looked at her. "You've had shields this whole time." She blinked. "I didn't, not until now." Alrix stepped back, watching them both. Her voice grew sharp. "That's impossible. No human can connect to royal blood tech. It's forbidden." David's hands were still glowing faintly. The metal bar in his grip was hot. The air around him was charged. Valria touched her neck, the royal seal glowing again. She turned to David. "You bonded with my line," she said. "It's only supposed to happen by birth, or ancient ceremony." He shook his head. "Don't know anything about your bloodlines?" She stared at him, then whispered, "But your blood. It reacted like one of us." Alrix's face turned pale. "That's not possible," she said again. "That would make him part of the bloodline," Valria finished. David looked between the two of them. "Okay, someone explain," he said. "What does this mean?" Valria took a deep breath. "A royal bond is a sacred fusion. Two life forces connect. The energy flows both ways. It's rare, it's old, and it's dangerous." David blinked. "So now I'm part alien." "Not just alien," she said. "You're bonded to a royal house." Alrix raised her weapon. "Then you die with her." Valria's hands lifted again, but this time David stepped forward first. And the moment he did, something deep in the old garage walls lit up. A hidden panel slid open. A soft hum echoed from beneath the floor. Valria's eyes widened. "It's here," she whispered. "The vault of Calrin." David turned. "What's that? A hidden Aurelian site?" "My father built it before the fall, a vault of ancient tech sealed by royal blood." She looked at him with wonder. "And now, we both have the key." The ground rumbled. Stairs slid open in the back of the garage, revealing a glowing path leading downward. Alrix hissed. "No." She ran forward, but Valria threw her hand out. A wave of force shot from her palm, knocking the commander across the room. David grabbed Valria's hand and pulled her toward the stairs. Together, they ran into the light ward, the vault below. Behind them, the metal closed again, sealing Alrix out. Down below, the glow grew brighter. Machines whispered awake after centuries of silence. David turned to Valria. "What's down here?" She stared into the light and said just one word: power. The stairs led down for what felt like forever. Each step glowed under their feet, lighting the way into the ancient heart of the hidden vault. The silence wasn't empty, it felt alive, as if the walls were listening. David glanced at Valria. Her silver hair flowed gently, lit by the blue lights around them. She was breathing fast, but not from fear, from memory. "This place," she whispered, "I remember it." "You've been here?" David asked. "Not exactly," she said. "I was an infant when my mother brought me here, before she vanished." The last step opened into a vast underground chamber. David stopped in awe. It was massive, larger than any hangar he'd ever seen. Floating above a round platform in the center was a strange structure. It looked like a ship, but alive. Its surface shimmered like it was breathing. Vines of glowing circuits ran along the walls, pulsing in sync with Valria's heartbeat. "This," she said softly, "is the last vessel of the Aurelian core bloodline. A ship that bonds to royalty." David stepped closer. "Why hide something like this under a church on Earth?" Valria stared at the ship with sadness. "Because Earth was once our final hope. My father trusted this planet. Your people. When the Empire fell, he sent me here not just to live, but to protect this." She looked at David now, her voice lower. "My father believed humans were... something special. He believed you could carry more than just your own future." David laughed quietly. "He clearly overestimated me." "No," she said, stepping closer. "He was right." She placed her hand on the platform. The ship above responded immediately. Lines of golden light spread outward. A soft hum filled the chamber. David's chest tightened. "Why is it reacting to me too?" She turned to him. "Because your blood responded to mine. You saved me, risked everything, and when we touched, our life signs fused. You carry the key now? You're not just a human, David. You're part of the royal line." David shook his head. "That's not possible." Valria moved toward him. "There's something I haven't told you." He looked at her, confused. "I wasn't just left here to hide," she continued. "I was given a mission. My mother used forbidden science to make sure I survived. She rewrote part of my genetic pattern. Half of me is Aurelian." "The other half?" David asked quietly. She met his eyes. "Human." David's breath stopped. "What?" "My mother made a deal with a dying Earth pilot she trusted. She carried a child that could inherit both bloodlines. That's why the Empire wanted me dead. I was a threat. A living bridge between two species." David staggered back. "So, I'm connected to you because you carry the same spark," she said. "That blood reacted to mine. Maybe your ancestors were part of the same project. Maybe your DNA remembers." David swallowed hard. The truth was too big to hold. "I am royalty," he asked. She smiled faintly. "You're something they never expected, a human who can awaken ancient power. A protector. A partner." Suddenly the chamber shook. A high-pitched siren screamed from the walls. They found another entrance. Valria gasped. "They're cutting through the mountain." Above them, the living ship lit up fully. It spoke in a voice that was both male and female, calm and ancient. Dual blood signature confirmed. Vessel now linked to Pilot Queen and Guardian King. David turned to Valria. "Did it just call?" "Me," she nodded. "Guardian King. You're not just bonded, you're chosen." Before David could react, the ship lowered toward them. Panels opened. The inside of the vessel glowed with warmth, not cold metal. But like entering a heart, it welcomed them. Valria took his hand. "We either fly nor die here." They stepped inside together. The ship closed behind them, lights flowing along the walls. Seats formed out of liquid steel. As David sat, something wrapped around his arms, not chains, but living threads. Connecting with his nerves, he gasped. Memories not his own flashed through his mind. Ancient battles. Stars exploding. A baby being carried through fire and smoke. Valria watched him, her voice gentle. "The ship is showing you the past, what was lost, what must never happen again." David's voice trembled. "I see your family, dying. And now," she said, "we write the next chapter." Suddenly, a new screen lit up in front of them. Enemy signals, 15 dropships inbound. The ship asked one question in glowing symbols. "Engage." David gripped the controls. They moved like part of his own body. He looked at Valria. "Together?" She smiled. "Always," he nodded. "Engage." The engines roared like thunder, and the mountain shook with the rise of something forgotten, human, a princess, a ship built for war. And the beginning of a legend, asterisk, the living ship did not rise, it awakened. Its body shivered with energy as if shrugging off centuries of sleep. Blue and gold lights rippled down its hull. The ceiling above cracked open like a blooming flower, revealing the sky above the mountain. Black and stormy. David sat in the pilot's chair, but he didn't feel. Like a pilot, he felt like the ship was wearing him. The controls weren't buttons or levers, they were thoughts. His breath synced with the vessel's systems. Each time he blinked, maps opened in his mind. He didn't see the ship's guns, he felt them, ready like clenched fists. Valria stood beside him. She wasn't just royalty now. She was a co-pilot of something ancient. The ship's voice spoke again. 15 enemy signals confirmed. Opening sky path. Defense protocol. Guardian bond. The roof burst apart, metal spinning into the wind. The ship lifted in perfect silence, then boom. Blasted into the air, faster than sound, faster than thought. David gripped the chair. He could feel every gust of wind slicing past. Every atom the ship passed through. Earth below became a blur. "They're already close," Valria said, eyes glowing. "Dropships approaching the city edge." David nodded. "Then we meet. Them in the sky." As they cleared the clouds, the enemy appeared. 15 dark ships, shaped like spiked blades, closing in on Earth's atmosphere in V formation. Each carried soldiers loyal to Commander Alrix. Each was hunting one target. Araya. The ship whispered in David's mind. Target acquired. Do you permit counterforce? David grinned. Let's show them what a Guardian King can do. Ship roared. Light burst from beneath its wings, not lasers, but compressed sunfire, an ancient weapon lost in time. A single beam fired, and an entire enemy ship folded in half, then exploded into burning dust. Valria gasped. That wasn't Aurelian tech. That was older. David nodded. Came from under the ruins. Your father didn't just hide. A warship. He buried a relic. The enemy ships scattered, changing formations. One of them tried to launch missiles, but the living ship danced through the sky like smoke through fingers. Every time David thought of dodging, the ship moved before his muscles even twitched. The enemy fired again. Valria raised her hands, and the air outside shimmered, a shield not over the ship, but over the entire sky above Earth. David stared at her. You can do that now? She looked shocked too. It's the bond. Your bloodline and mine. It's unlocking things that were sealed for generations. Down below, people looked up from cities and small towns, watching the glowing dome above their skies dot to them. It looked like an aurora. To the enemies, it looked like a warning. One enemy ship broke formation and flew straight toward them. Suicide. Charge, David whispered. Let it come, Valria frowned. What are you the moment it was close? David reached out, not with hands. With the bond, he closed his eyes, felt the enemy pilot's rage, his fear. His orders, then he pushed back like wind against flame. The enemy ship froze midair and veered upward, smashing into its own allies. 2 more ships fell. Valria stared at David. You just... It touched his mind. David opened his eyes slowly. The ship showed me how. But that's royal training, she whispered. No human has ever. I'm not just human anymore, David said quietly. From the horizon, a final warship appeared twice the size of the others. Commander. Alrix, her voice echoed into their ship through an encrypted channel. Give me the girl, she growled, or Earth burns. David responded calmly. You had your chance. You tried to erase her, erase your own blood. She is a mistake, Alrix hissed. She's the future, David said. Valria placed her hand on the glowing console. Let's end this. David looked at the screen. One more question, ship. What's the strongest weapon we have? The ship paused, then revealed a chamber in its core. A single word flashed on the screen, the heartfire. Valria's eyes widened. That's myth. It's not real. But the ship replied, awakened by Guardian and Royal. Power level. Unrestricted. David took her hand. Together he said again, and in the next second, the sky above Earth burned gold, a beam not of destruction, but truth shot forward. Slicing Alrix's ship in half with divine light, it didn't explode. It simply vanished, as if it was never meant to exist. The enemy fleet turned, fled, and the sky fell quiet. Again, the sky was still. The enemy fleet had vanished. No debris, no fire, no war cries, just silence and light. Golden light. Like the stars themselves had opened their eyes and decided Earth was not to be touched. Inside the living ship, David sat, frozen. He had just ordered something. Possible. The heartfire, a weapon from ancient Aurelian legends spoken of in whispers. Never proven real, had listened to him. And now, Commander Alrix, the blood tyrant of the stars, was simply gone. Did we win? David asked, his voice barely a breath. Valria didn't answer at first. She stared out through the ship's viewing canopy at the soft glow fading across the sky. Her skin no longer pulsed with panic or exhaustion. It shimmered now with purpose. She turned to him slowly. "We did more than win," she said. "Changed everything." The ship landed quietly in the field behind the ruined church where it had all begun. Grass bent under the landing pads. No alarms, no armies. Just Earth quiet, watching, waiting. They stepped outside together. Wind brushed their faces. The townspeople, some in pajamas, had gathered nearby, stunned and speechless. Phones recording. Children pointing. No one dared step forward until a small boy whispered to his mother, "Is that an angel?" Valria looked at David, confused. Angel. David smiled. A myth from this world, beautiful, powerful, protectors. She looked away quickly, cheeks flushing silver. Suddenly a beam of blue light descended from above. A new ship, not of war but a council vessel. Elegant, royal. Ancient symbols danced on its surface. It descended slowly and landed a short distance away. The door opened. 3 alien elders stepped out. Their robes shimmered with gold thread, their eyes old and wise. They had not come to fight. They had come to bow. "Princess Valria." "One," said kneeling, "the hidden blood returns." The royal line breathes again. Valria didn't speak. Her eyes were locked on David. The second elder rose. "And this? This is the one bonded to you?" "He is more than that," she said softly. "He's my equal." The third elder looked stunned. A human. David stepped forward. "I didn't ask for this," he said honestly. "I just saw someone in pain. I helped her." The first elder nodded. "That is why the bond chose you. Power does not seek those who want it. It seeks those who protect it." Valria stepped beside him, facing the crowd. "I will not sit on any throne built by fear," she said. "If I lead, it will be different. No more lies, no more blood." The elders hesitated, then slowly bowed again. "As you wish." "Hi, Queen." David blinked. "Wait, Queen." Valria turned to him, smiling gently. "And you are king." His mouth opened, then shut again. "But I'm just a no," she interrupted. "You're the man who carried me from the dirt, who stood in front of war, who touched the heartfire and lived. You're not just anything." The crowd watched, phones still recording. Stories were being born in real-time, legends of a human man and a glowing girl from the stars. Suddenly a woman from the crowd stepped forward. She held a bag of bread and a blanket. "For the girl," she said softly. She looked cold when she arrived. "Another came in, old man. You saved our sky. You both did." Valria's hands shook slightly as she accepted the gifts. Her voice broke. "They feared I would be hunted here. But your people gave me a coat, a home, and a name." David turned to her. "You never told me your full name?" She looked into his eyes. "My true name is Valria Dalan, daughter of the lost crown, keeper of the flame. But," she reached up, touched his face gently, "you may still call me Ria." His chest tightened. "Ria," he whispered behind them. The living ship pulsed once more. It had one last message. New coordinates prepared. Galactic Council awaits. Title: Guardian King David of Earth. Cariller, High Queen Valria of the Starborn. David looked up at the stars. He had spent his whole life fixing old engines, barely scraping by, forgotten by most now. He was going to the stars, not as a visitor, but as a leader. He looked at Rhea, then reached for her hand. She took it without hesitation. Together, they stepped back toward the ship. The earth behind them cheered softly. The stars ahead waited silently. A new age had begun, not of war, but of a human prince and his alien queen.